Hello, my name is Stephanie Locke. This is my Module 12 case study, the budget debacle. So we begin with a summary of the case. Mr. Burley is the current president of the Foundation for Briardale Elementary School. Mr. Santos is the school principal. He had actually met with Mr. Burley to give him an orientation to the position before he started. Mr. Burley had mentioned that he wanted to outraise his fraternity brother, who was the foundation president for another school in the district. And so he wanted to raise the most money ever for the foundation. A raffle fundraiser was conducted to raise money for the supplementary curriculum programs like art, music, and foreign language. Mr. Burley wants to potentially even add more supplementary programs with the fundraiser. On the night of the drawing, the community convened at Briardale Elementary. They have an area that was large enough to host a lot of people. The sheriff ended up showing up, and Mr. Burley had to go to the station with him. Mr. Burley ended up being charged with a misdemeanor for his part in the raffle for cash event. Mr. Santos is very embarrassed by the events that took place with the raffle and the image of the school being damaged. It was damaged even further by a news report on the front page of the local newspaper. So when we look at the legal and ethical issues in this case, who in particular was harmed by this decision? Mr. Burley was harmed throughout the course of this case study. Mr. Santos, the students and staff at Briardale, the supplementary curriculum programs, and even the community. When you look at existing laws, I did look into Kansas specifically because that's where I live. And so Kansas, for when it comes to nonprofits to conduct raffles, they can require you to have a raffle license. My understanding, based on the information that I found on the website of the Kansas Department of Revenue, is if you have a raffle that ends up bringing in money of $25,000, you have to have a raffle license. And so they have different ranges of what that license is going to cost you. And so for $25,000 to $50,000 that was brought in from your raffle, it's going to require you to pay $25 for your license. And you can apply for a raffle license through the Kansas Department of Revenue. And so if this school, if Briardale Elementary was in Kansas, my speculation would be that Mr. Burley didn't get that raffle license, and so that would be where the misdemeanor would come into play. Breach of contract, I don't believe there was any breach of contract, and then actions being discriminatory, I do not believe those were either. In synthesis of the case, giving a one statement of what happened, a raffle fundraiser was conducted by Mr. Burley, president of the school foundation, to raise money to support students with supplementary program resources that resulted in Mr. Burley being charged with a misdemeanor and embarrassment to Mr. Santos in Briardale Elementary School. So for section 4, synthesis of the facts, the people that are directly involved in this is going to be Mr. Burley, Mr. Santos, community members who purchased the raffle tickets, and then the teachers and students at Briardale Elementary that were going to be affected by the outcome of this situation. The place, Briardale Elementary School, is kindergarten through 5th grade with 600 students. It is one of multiple elementary schools in this school district. And then specifically the programs in this case were the supplementary programs, the art, music, and foreign language, and even the potential for the new programs to add, which was one of Mr. Burley's statements that he had made. When we review the information, stakeholders, the events that played out were damaging to the stakeholders. It will be my job to try and repair the damage through implementing a plan to resolve the issue. And so those who have a particular stake in the outcome is going to be the teachers and students, obviously. Mr. Santos, myself, the foundation, and even the community. And if all stakeholders have been consulted, before I took any action, I personally would consult with the superintendent and even the school board before acting, and then all of my stakeholders would be consulted. Can I learn more? like I said earlier, I was kind of speculating on what the misdemeanor would be for Mr. Barely, because in the case it didn't say. And so I would like to know what the misdemeanor was specifically, and what legal aspect was violated. I would want to know, are there any foundation or school policies that state how to handle this situation? And even, can the money be used for the school still, or does it have to be returned? There could be something in the law that I may not know about that states that the money has to be given back, that it can't be used by the school. And so, can I make a decision? Yes, I do believe I can make a decision after consulting with the superintendent on my plan to take the action. I do believe that when it comes to different situations where a principal has to take action, consulting with your superintendent is a very good idea. And especially in this case, if you do nothing, the rumors are going to fly through the community. The reputation and image of the school is just going to be damaged further. So identifying the options, obviously we have option 1 of no action. Option 2 is going to be a more liberal action, where you have a discussion with the superintendent, the school board, and even the lawyers, because we are not, obviously we're not lawyers, and so legal aspects need to be advised from lawyers. You need to make a public statement from the school, offer to give the money back to those who donated and purchased raffle tickets. You should advocate for what the money would go to. Maybe you could conduct another fundraiser so that you have those resources. And then, to prevent something like this from happening again, creating a more in-depth training that is to implement for the individuals involved in fundraising for the school and the foundation. And then option 3 on here that I have was doing everything in option 2, but then adding in the possibility of the school district to have one school foundation instead of a school foundation for each building. That would help with the competitive side that may have gotten the best of Mr. Barely. When we evaluate them for pros and cons, option number 1, pro, you really don't have to get any direct conflict, and potentially the money's still there. You do nothing. The cons, obviously, with number 1 of not doing anything, you're going to further damage the school's image. You can't have someone who's directly involved in the school get arrested and not do anything. Or not arrested, but at least charged with a misdemeanor. You can't just not do anything, and your rumors are going to continue to fly in the community. Option 2, the pros, you're going to show the community that you care. You're going to help to rebuild that school community relationship. It's going to help to get rid of the rumors. The training is going to help decrease the chances of something like this happening again, and then showing that the school can be transparent. The cons, there's potential for loss of money, and you may not improve your reputation if you don't go about it the correct way. With option 3, you have the pros from option 2, plus you would also eliminate the competition by getting rid of all of the foundations and just having one. Again, we're showing the community that we care. You're going to control your rumors, and you have that transparency. The cons, the biggest con with moving from multiple foundations for each school, the one is that the school district is large. If you have multiple schools in one district, you might upset the people in each area of the community per se, because when you live in a certain area and your tax dollars go to a certain school, and you're around a certain school, you take pride in that school, and so you could have some people upset if you only go to one foundation. And then there is a chance that there could be less money potential with not having multiple foundations. The best option in implementing, I would go with option 2, because taking no action is not a good idea. I've talked about that before. You're not doing anything is not going to work. And then option 3 can cause you more issues if you add in the making just one foundation. I don't think it's necessarily in the best interest for students and staff. And so if I were actually implementing this, and what I would do, I would start with a discussion with the superintendent, the school board, and the lawyers about what statement needs to go out. The school needs to make a statement. Mr. Barely needs to make a statement, and it's very crucial to be transparent about what happened and how the school will go about ensuring that it doesn't happen again. The statement, again, what happened, explain how the school is hoping to spend the money, offer to return the money to the individuals who bought the raffle tickets. Both of those are going to have to do with what the lawyers say about what can and can't be done with the money. There is a potential that all the money has to be returned, but not knowing that legal aspect, it's all going to depend there. The training, this is one thing that I think really will help prevent a case like this from happening again. And so when you meet with a new foundation president, there has to be a legal aspect tied to the training. The people who are in charge of fundraising have to understand that there are legal issues that have to be taken into account when you are fundraising, when you're raising money. By implementing this training, we're going to do what's best for students, staff, and the school, but being able and keeping the foundation informed. Here's the reference to where I found my information on the Kansas Department of Revenue. And I believe that is the end of my presentation. Thank you for watching.